What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Inside Inter Miami. I'm your host, Andre Fernandez, joined by my co-host, Michelle Coffin, our Inter Miami beat writer, back to talk about this team, which is on fire lately, especially Lionel Messi, the 38-year-old who defies age, defies logic, keeps setting records in Major League Soccer. 5 consecutive games scoring at least 2 goals, including the 3 Miami victories since the Club World Cup exit in the round of 16. We'll look over those victories, including some valuable points the team has picked up, not only against New England on the road, not only a game against Nashville, which was huge, not just to pick up the 3 points, but to close the gap on the leaders in the Eastern Conference. We'll talk a little bit about how Miami's doing a little bit of a balancing act right now. They're trying to catch up and make ground, playing some of these tough opponents. They've got 2 games coming up against Cincinnati that are huge. But are they going to pick a spot here and there to rest some of their superstars, especially guys like Messi, like Luis Suarez, that might need a little bit of downtime here and there? How do they manage that? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about how far Miami ascended on the table in this last week or so since the Club World Cup. And Michelle will have updates on the Rodrigo De Paul situation. When will Messi's contract be extended? When is that happening? And what are the latest on some of the injuries the team is dealing with? Plus, Michelle wrote a column just about looking at the Club World Cup. Was it a success? What were some of the ups and downs? Check it out if you haven't, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But let's start with the GOAT, the great one. No rest, continues to play in every game, at least up to now, and continues to score like crazy. 2 goals in each of these last few games, and all of a sudden Miami back in the top 5 in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I mean, really, what can we say? We should have probably brought out the mate today, to be
Yeah,
honest.
we probably should have. You're right.
We probably should. Probably should have been a mate episode because
It still could be
Messi.
next
If
week.
you recall, it wasn't that long ago that he was kind of grumpy. Remember, in the beginning of May, he was grumpy. He was getting yellow cards at the end of games, arguing with refs. He looked extremely frustrated with how the team was playing. There was question about his Mascherano, should he be the coach? And Messi is unhappy, and all of a sudden now, this team has won 5 consecutive games in MLS. They're 6 games unbeaten. They did very well in the Club World Cup. Messi is happy. Messi is waving at the fans again. He's smiling again, and he's scoring like nobody's business. I mean, scoring 2 goals per game in 5 consecutive MLS games and not taking any time off. I looked up, he has played 15 consecutive games for 90 plus minutes. 90 plus minutes for 15 consecutive games. And the man is 38 years old. He turned 38 last month. So he's really in a very good spot right now. He's playing extremely well. And when Messi's happy, everyone's happy. You know how they say in a household, when mama's happy, everybody's happy.
Mm-hmm.
When
The
Messi's
patriarch.
happy, huh? We know
In that case, is the matriarch. In this case, the patriarch is happy.
when he's happy, that everyone is happy. The teammates are happy, the club is happy, the league is happy, the fans. He really does drive this team. I mean, and the way he's been scoring has just been unbelievable. I mean, every mistake that the other team makes, he pounces on it. You just cannot give him an inch. He doesn't run that much, but he's always in the right place. And he finishes. He finishes goals that other guys do not finish. I mean, you've seen these last few games. What can you say about him?
I
I mean,
mean,
he's unbelievable.
this is. I mean, well, I've already said on this pod before. To me, he's the greatest free kicker of all time. I mean, the free kicks. I mean, the one he did against Nashville, where
Oh,
the precision to find the gap in the wall
there was
and
a
get it
gap
through
this
there.
big.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that just tells you right there. But also the skill, just when it comes to presence of mind. I mean, one was a huge mistake in the Nashville game where the goalie gave it away, and he reaches out with his left leg, controls it, jukes him. Then another defender for Nashville sneaks in to try and save the day. Nope, not happening.
No,
Gets it past him
no,
too.
no. And the things that he does with his left foot, I mean, it has been said, and it really does seem true, that it seems like the ball is glued to his left foot. It's like he can
It was like a
maneuver
hook.
and run and twist. He can like twist and do all kinds of things. He's been doing it his whole career. And
Yep.
when you see it game after game, even at the age that
On
he's
the
at now.
takeaway,
It's truly remarkable.
on the takeaway, it was like a hook. Like his foot just goes through and like hooks in the ball, and then in one movement, one motion, he's dribbling and out juking the goalie and everything else and shooting, and it just like
And
bang
he's
bang
so
happens so quick.
decisive, and also so decisive because
Right.
it's one touch, or it's just, he's so decisive. He gets the ball and he's already on to the shot. It's not, most
That yeah
players get the ball, settle the ball, have to think about what they're going to do. By that time, the defenders have time, even if it's an instant, have time to get ready.
yeah
He just moves. His mind is working in a
that
different
that's
zone than everybody else.
the key. That's the secret right there, Michelle. Not just him, like all the greats, but he has it to an even bigger degree, where you even see him like not even on a scoring play, even when he's trying to outmaneuver someone. Like I've seen him before where he's like double marked and he has the ball and he does like he does like this little like thing that he does, and then all of a sudden, boom, the ball's gone.
Yeah. No, he's amazing. He really is amazing. Let's see what Javier Mascherano had to. He knows him as well as anyone. He played with him and now he's coaching him. Here's what he had to say.
Javier, acá, ¿cómo
Sí.
te va? Te quería preguntar qué me podés decir de Messi, ¿no?
Me preguntas toda la conferencia.
Una nueva actuación espectacular. ¿Cómo contagia a sus compañeros? ¿Qué transmite en el vestuario? ¿Qué transmite a sus compañeros? Y si crees que en los próximos partidos puede venir algún descanso, sobre todo en la gira contra Cincinnati y contra New York.
¿Cómo lo sacamos? Decime. ¿Cómo hacemos? A ver, obviamente que iremos viendo y la realidad es que entendemos que en algún momento vamos a tener que encontrar ese espacio para darle algún descanso. Lo vamos hablando día a día, él se va sintiendo bien. Y bueno, de acuerdo a cómo se va sintiendo, en el momento que creemos que también creamos que también es momento de darle un rato de descanso, lo haremos. Te vuelvo a repetir, después con respecto a lo otro no hay muchas palabras, es increíble lo que sigue haciendo, rompiendo récords ahora cada 3 días, porque ya no es ni los fines de semana. Y bueno, lo he dicho 1000 veces en esta sala, es la bandera de nuestro equipo, el que nos marca el camino cómo competir, es el líder, el que obviamente arenga a los compañeros, les muestra cómo tenemos que seguir y sobre todo mantener en este momento el tono que venimos teniendo y bueno, la realidad es que es una bendición poder, en mi caso, poder acompañar esta etapa de su carrera.
Well, first of all, he started laughing when the reporter said, "I have a question about Messi," because
like,
every press conference,
never.
every press conference we ask about Messi. I mean, and especially now, but always every press conference has Messi questions, and lately it's just been, can you discuss again how brilliant Messi is? Javier, can you please talk to us again about how brilliant Messi is? Anyway. And then he was asked, do you think that at some point he's going to have to come out and whatever? And he just smiled and he said, how do we take him out? How do we take him out? What do we do? He said, we'll see. Obviously, we know that at some moment he is going to need a rest. And he said, but we talk to him every day. He feels good. And, bottom line, when Messi feels good and wants to play, he's going to play. And they want him to play. If you have Lionel Messi on your team, you don't want that guy on the bench. You want that guy in the field. And that's the same with every star player in the league and around the world. You don't want your best player sitting on the bench. And especially, the best player of all time is not going to be on the bench if he feels good and fit and feels like he should be playing. So, Mascherano said, he's our leader. He's our flag bearer. He rallies the team. He is the guy who leads our group. And he said, that I've said it a million times and I'll say it again. He said, it's amazing and incredible what he's doing still at his age, breaking records. He said now every 3 days, because it's not even games only on the weekends. He said every 3 days he's breaking a record. And he said, I consider it a blessing that I'm able to coach him and be alongside him at this stage of his career.
Yeah, and so pretty impressive. I mean, he's it's 5 in a row of 2 goals or more. That's an MLS record. It was an MLS record already at 4 games in a row. And just adding on, I mean, just clutch. And then not only the goals, but the goal contributions too. Even when he's not scoring, he's assisting on, and he has some involvement in producing that said goal for the team. And
over the season right now, he has 16 goals in 16 games.
Oh,
yeah, 16 goals in 16 games, and then 7. I think he has 7 assists actually. So anyway,
well, it's 22. I think it's 22 goals overall if you count like Club World Cup and
with Club World Cup and everything. Yeah,
and beforehand.
Yeah, and in the league, 16 out of 16. Yeah, in the league, 16 goals in 16 games, and he's tied now for the Golden Boot. He's tied for the Golden Boot now, which we'll discuss when we're talking about the Nashville game. But yeah, going back to the New England game again, without Messi, he scores both goals in that game. And Javier Mascherano said the plan going into that game was for him to come out at some point in the second half. But so he goes ahead and he scores the first goal. Then New England scores, pretty deep into the second half, which is when Mascherano said they were going to take Messi out for a bit. And they decided, no, this game is too tight. They need the points. They really wanted to climb the standings coming out of the Club World Cup. They had dropped to 7th place. So they said, forget it. We're leaving him in. And they left him in, So, I mean, he's been unbelievable. And then you go into the Nashville game and you're thinking, well, is he going to sit for the Nashville game? The second place team that had been unbeaten in 15 straight games, a home game for Miami, their first home game since May 31st. There's no way that man is sitting. No way.
Right. Well, that's all he said. He said, Los sacamos, meaning like, how do I take him out? I can't. Like,
he said, how do we take him out
right now?
How do you take him out? And especially against these opponents, especially now, again, they're on a roll now.
Yeah.
Now they had Nashville. You're not going to take them out against Nashville, against a team, like I said, that was the hottest team in the league. They were at 15 games unbeaten.
Right. The thing that we still talk about with this team too is they don't shut out anybody. So it's been clutch too to have those even like, I know we're going to talk about it, but the Nashville game, they're sitting there at 1-0, and I had a funny feeling. I was like, you know what? The way the tendency this team has to have at least one defensive breakdown, they're probably going to need more than one. And there you have it.
And he delivers the second. No, and it's true. They do tend to give up one. They don't have so many shutouts. So if they give up one, they have to score more than one. And Messi has been delivering two per game to get them to win these games, And then the Nashville game, again, a really big game against a very, very good opponent, an opponent that Mascherano said over and over before the game that this was an opponent that is very physical, that has a lot of scoring options, that, they have Hani Mukhtar, a former league MVP, who's very, very good. Surridge was the Golden Boot leader. And now Messi is tied with Surridge. Messi is so competitive. He's sitting there in the game going, all right, little Sammy, you're in the Golden Boot.
You're next.
Let's see. Let's see. I'm gonna match you. I'm gonna match him. By the end of that game, they were tied. And in fact, Messi's listed first because he has 16 goals in 16 games. Right. And Surridge has 16 goals in 21 games or whatever.
He came close to a third in the game. I think late in the game he had a chance there that came pretty darn close. And speaking of Mukhtar scored, tied that game, made it a little dicey at first, but then of course they answered with the takeaway there, the huge mistake by Joe Willis, the goalie for Nashville, just basically kicked it right in Messi's direction.
He kicked it right to Messi. He's having nightmares still about that moment. But again, Messi gets it and finishes, which he makes it look easy, which is what great athletes do, like Roger Federer. He would go out there and make it look like he's not even sweating. Messi does things that are really, really, really hard and makes them look so easy. Yeah. But yeah, let's see what some of the players had to say. We're going to hear first from Ben Hakramashi about what did he think about this game against Nashville.
I feel good. Obviously, it's an important win, so we're super happy. about how the team is playing, about the performance of the team. So we're just excited for the next game and keep climbing.
What is the mindset of the team after the other team scored the second half?
After they scored on us?
Yeah.
No, we knew we still had to play our game. We had to go get a goal. So that's what we did. We got the goal and we just focused on keeping the ball and trying to get another one, close out the game. But we couldn't get another one, so defensively we had to put in the work.
Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you.
Playing dual fives with those guys back there. How do you feel with them and you have to cover a lot of ground on that?
Yeah, obviously playing alongside Busquets is easy. I mean, he's the best in the world, so you kind of just feed off what he does, what movements he does, and whatever. We always try to learn from the best, so it's just amazing to have him there, and obviously have to cover a lot of ground, but that's what us young players are here to do. We know that we have to put in the work, and we're super happy about the result. Thank you.
3 partidos seguidos ganando, ¿qué se siente? ¿Cómo está la dinámica del equipo?
Bien. La verdad que estamos muy contentos con el presente. Sabemos que hay que seguir así, sabemos que se nos vienen partidos muy complicados, 2 muy seguidos con Cincinnati que viene muy bien. Así que nada, sabemos que hay que seguir entrenando, seguir enfocado en lo que se viene y nada más.
¿Dónde se sentiste más cómodo? ¿En el medio centro, extremo?
No, siempre me gustó en el medio centro, ahí siempre fue mi posición natural, así que poder jugar ahí y estar en esa posición es lo mejor para mí, ahí es donde me siento más cómodo, así que nada, también donde sea creo que puedo responder y ayudar al equipo, así que lo que toque voy a dar lo mejor de mí.
After that experience, how do you think you grew as a player? What do you think you brought from that experience now helping us now?
No, everything counts. Something that we bring is everything counts. Every single moment, every single challenge, everything is a great opportunity to come out on top. And I think that's what we're trying to bring into how we play in this league. So we just try to take advantage of every moment.
Yeah, so a lot of that was in English, so everybody could understand. Basically, Ben had talked about, and it's true about the younger players, like he was talking about when he's playing with Busquets. Let's face it, Busquets is not a guy who runs. He does not run. He never was a big runner, and at the age he's at now, even less. So, but Kramashi said that's what the young guys are. That's what we're there to do. We're there to put in the work. He said he has to cover a lot of ground, yes, when he's playing alongside Busquets, but he's playing with one of the best of all time. He's learning from him every game. And yes, he has to cover a lot of ground, but he said that's what the young guys are there to do. And it really has been a blend. This team is a blend of the older guys who maybe don't run as much. And then the younger guys are having to cover more ground for that reason, because they don't have a team of 10 field players that are sprinting up and down the field all the time. So the team is really gelling. I think the blending of the young and the old seems to be really happening. And also, he talked about the Club World Cup, since the Club World Cup, how well the team has been playing. And that's something that Maxi Falcone and the other players have all mentioned, that Club World Cup gave the team a lot of confidence. They really felt that if they can play the way they played against Palmeiras, against Porto, against Al Ahly, and even, at moments against PSG, that they can play with MLS competition, that they can do well in this tournament. So let's hear what Maxi Falcone had to say.
Bueno, me ha tocado, como decís vos, por derecha, por izquierda. Hoy terminamos en línea de 5 y nada, nosotros entrenamos también justamente por eso, porque bueno, no sabemos siempre al que le toca y al que le toca tiene que estar preparado. En este caso, como decís vos, me ha tocado varios partidos seguidos y yo creo que mis compañeros han hecho un muy buen trabajo, me lo han hecho muy fácil. Creo que la clave ahí es la comunicación, tratar siempre de estar alineado a lo que buscamos como defensa. Yo siempre digo que nada, es tratar de darle seguridad a lo de arriba, como tenemos un gran ataque y siempre o casi siempre hacemos un gol. Si nosotros mantenemos el 0, es muy posible que ganemos. Entonces eso es muy importante para el equipo y yo creo que en la parte defensiva, que del Mundial de Clubes, incluso un poco antes, empezamos de nuevo porque habíamos recibido muchos goles hace unos partidos atrás y esa era la mentalidad, cambiar eso y dar seguridad al equipo.
Tuviste que defender hoy a Suarez. ¿Cómo lo viviste? ¿Qué te dijo Mascherano antes del partido? ¿Cómo lo sentiste? ¿Se te vio muy, o sea, referenciándolo todo el tiempo, teniéndolo ahí a punta? ¿Cómo te sientes?
Sí, habíamos visto videos, incluso antes de los partidos vemos videos, me dijeron también la clase de jugador que era, yo también vi videos personales y nada, sabía que adentro del área él es peligroso, que jugaban también a eso, que cuando llegan a los costados tiran mucho centro y había que estar cerca porque, como te digo, en un juego directo como tenían ellos, que lo hacen muy bien, te pueden terminar empatando un partido por más que vos controles el juego y la idea era esa, estar cerca de él. Y nada, tratar de que no conecte mucho con el balón y yo creo que sí hizo un buen trabajo defensivo.
¿Qué aprendizaje en lo personal que es el Mundial de Clubes y qué aprendizaje agarraron ustedes para el equipo?
Nada, yo creo que más que nada fue un bien anímico colectivo, digamos, más allá de lo personal, que era importante porque era una vidriera en la cual se veía en todas partes del mundo, digamos. En lo personal también me lo tomé así, pero nos deja como plantel la confianza que nosotros no podemos medir ante cualquiera y que si jugamos de la manera que jugamos en el Mundial de Clubes, vamos a ser un rival muy difícil al cual vencer. Y esa es la idea que nosotros buscamos partido a partido. Yo creo que lo hemos reflejado en estos dos. Le hemos ganado a rivales muy duros porque Montreal está allá abajo, pero viste que los puntos a veces engañan y bueno, yo creo que todos los partidos van a ser así de acá al final porque todos se juegan algo y nosotros tenemos partidos menos en el cual si sumamos dependemos de nosotros y a eso es lo que apuntamos.
Muchas gracias. Aquí.
Okay, so Maxi talked about a couple of different things. One thing he said, that he's had to play on the left, he's had to play on the right, he's had to adjust all the different positions, and he's fine with doing that. He said that he talked about the defense really improving because if you recall, when they were getting killed by Vancouver and Minnesota, they were giving up a lot of goals. They were very vulnerable. There was a lot of talk about how leaky their defense was. And he said that really since just before the Club World Cup and during the World Cup and now, he feels like the defense has really strengthened. And I agree. When you watch this team now, they're much more disciplined on defense and they're not making the errors. They're not as leaky. They still are giving up a goal here and there, but they're playing much better defensively than they were. And he talked about Surridge in particular. You could tell his assignment was Surridge. They basically said, Maxi, you are staying on Surridge. And he said that, they showed him videos of Surridge. He personally watched videos of Surridge to see exactly what he does. And his job was just to stay very, very close to him and not let him have the ball because they're very dangerous with their direct style and all that. So, he talked about shutting down Surridge, which he did. He really did. There were a couple of times he was almost, it looked like he was almost tackling Surridge, but he managed to get away with it without getting cards and without getting thrown out of a game. But he was on Surridge.
I think on a set piece too, where he's like he's like telling the referee, I'm not fouling him. It was also one of those.
Yes. Oh, yeah. No, I'm not. I'm a good boy. I'm not doing it. I'm doing everything in the rules. And then he talked at the end about the Club World Cup, how, again, it was a showcase, a global showcase. He personally, and he feels collectively as a team, they viewed it that way. It was a chance for them to show themselves against the world. And also they proved to themselves, they gained a lot of confidence. And that if they can keep playing that way, they're showing that they can beat MLS opponents and they have played 3 fewer games than the rest of the opponents. So that if they keep doing this, they will keep climbing in the standings and they have a chance to do good things at the end. So,
something about this team, a couple things I wanted to say real quick. People forget not just the Club World Cup. The resurgence kind of started just before the Club World Cup. If you remember, they had that win against Montreal, and then they crushed Columbus, and it was almost like maybe
5-1.
Those 2 weeks in between, it just kind of changed things, and all of a sudden, this team started playing a lot better. And then obviously, you're playing higher competition in the Club World Cup, which was great. But and then overall, I think big picture beyond this season, I think something needs to be said about how this team, even when they struggle, Miami's had a good record against the best of the best in the MLS for a while now. I mean, they lose some of these games here and there, but it seems like whenever they're playing like a Nashville or a Columbus or Philadelphia, they play well. They get their results, whether it's a victory or a draw. You're not seeing them when they have these big games in MLS. They show up and they win these big games. I mean, even last year,
and in the Club World Cup, and I think part of it is.
Yeah. They get up. They get up for the big games.
They get fired up for the big games, and I think part of it is also, the pride that the big four, they are world-class stars, and they like the competition. They like going up against really good teams. I think maybe, you know, when they're playing lesser opponents, maybe sometimes they take things for granted a little, or they're not as fired up. When they're playing big teams, whether it be the Club World Cup games or whether it be, like you said, some of these other big opponents, they do tend to step up. And this team is very different now. Javier Mascherano said, we're going to hear from him in a second here, but one of the things he said that's not on this clip is that he felt that their turnaround really started in the second half against Philadelphia. He said something clicked in this group in the second half against Philadelphia. He felt very good going into the Montreal game. And I remember he said it back then, that first Montreal game. He said before that game, I really like how our team played against Philadelphia, particularly in the second half. And I hope we can build on that with this Montreal game, which they did. And then the Columbus game, beating Columbus 5-1 to go into the break was a huge win for them. They went into the FIFA break feeling good, feeling confident. Then they go and play well in the Club World Cup, and they've come back a completely different team than they were in the beginning of May. And Javier Mascherano joked in the press conference also, like, oh, remember back in early May, I was out, right? I was out, meaning like they were going to fire me. And look at him now. You know, he's on leading this team, and they're climbing. So let's hear what he had to say about
that Philly game before we get to the clip. That Philly game, if people don't remember, that's the one. They were down 3-1, and people thought it was like they stole the point. They got those 2 goals late. So that little momentum swing there, big time.
He said that was big. He really mentioned that. He gave a whole little chat about that.
They're down 2-0 at the half,
second half against Philly. Yeah, that Philly game, he said, was the beginning of the turnaround.
And again, a Philadelphia team on the road, and guess where Philadelphia's at? Right at the top, and they still are. They're right now. They're tied, I believe, for first place. So
yeah. So let's hear what Masche has to say.
Primero, obviamente que felicitar a los jugadores porque sabemos el esfuerzo que están haciendo. La realidad es que jugamos ante un equipo que hacía 15 partidos que no perdía. Venía con una dinámica muy pero muy buena, un equipo que genera muchísimas situaciones y convierte muchísimos goles. Y más allá de que en el segundo tiempo nos costó, lógico, por el cansancio, porque bueno, el rival también juega y hace cosas bien. La primera parte hemos dominado, e inclusive hemos tenido alguna que otra acción para convertir algún gol más y agrandar la diferencia. No lo pudimos hacer, lamentablemente nos empatan muy temprano en la segunda parte y bueno, no nos costó, pero bueno, de eso se trata, ¿no? De mostrar, de ser un equipo serio, de convivir con los malos momentos, convivir con lo que necesita el partido en cada momento y bueno, claramente vamos sacando partidos adelante que nos vienen muy bien, sabiendo de que tenemos muchas cosas por mejorar, pero bueno, que en esta dinámica es mucho más fácil.
Yeah, he said, first of all, he wanted to congratulate the players. He said that, you know, the players were facing a team that is a very formidable team that have been on a 15-game unbeaten streak and that scores a lot of goals. And he said, you know, that they continue to compete, this team. And yes, in the second half, they had a moment, they had a breakdown. He said it's understandable because of fatigue. This team really has not had a break. They have played more games than any other team in MLS. They've already played 30 or 31 games, and the other teams have played 20 or 21. So they've played 10 more games than the other teams in MLS for the most part. So he said, you know, we did have a moment there, but overall, the team is doing very, very well. And we did even have some chances in the first half, which we're going to get to Luis Suarez in a minute here. But he said, you know, we did dominate the first half, and we had even some chances that we missed. And so he said he's happy with how the team is playing. Team is playing very well. And as long as they keep going and staying serious and staying focused, and yes, they do have things to improve, but overall the team is really in a good place right now.
And if you look at the standings right now, Miami up to 5 now in the conference, just 3 points back of the top 4. Going back, Philly, I was wrong. Philly's up by 1 point right now over Cincinnati and has the best goal differential at 16 tied with San Diego, but the best in the East. But if you look at Miami, still 3 games in hand and 14,
3 games in hand.
14 on the goal differential too, which is second only to Philadelphia. So it shows you how well they've played since they've got their stride back. And this team,
yeah, and they can make this up. I mean, they're 3 points back from third place, and they're 5 points back from first place, and they have 3 games in hand. So if they keep going at this pace, they have 2 at Cincinnati. Really big games coming up. The first one is on the road on Wednesday night. Huge game against Cincinnati on the road, and then they play again on the road at New York Red Bulls, and then they play at home against Cincinnati. So two games against Cincinnati coming up is a chance for them to gain ground. They could come out of the month of July going into the Leagues Cup. They could be in first place. They could potentially be in first place, or at least in the top 3 for sure, going into the Leagues Cup.
And it's a dilemma about the resting part, because I mean, people pointed to the Red Bulls game as maybe, right? But the Red Bulls are a fringe playoff team right now too, that you don't want to take lightly either.
They're right behind them. Yeah, they're right behind.
So,
and a road game.
I don't know.
It's going to be, I don't know. As long as he's feeling well, I think he's going to keep playing. He's the Iron Man. He's Messi.
Yeah.
He's drinking that Mas water. He's drinking his Messi water, and he's drinking his mate, and whatever he's doing. By the way, he posted on Instagram some pictures with his family at the beach yesterday. The guy he's got serious abs, and he looks like he's in great shape. He's 38 years old, but he looks to be in peak form.
When he did that jersey exchange after the game, you could see it on TV when he did the jersey exchange with one of the players there for Nashville.
He did a jersey exchange at halftime. By the way, he did a jersey exchange at halftime. Which I don't see very often at halftime. Yeah. This defender, a Colombian defender from Nashville, was like, I think his name was Palacios. He's like, hey, I'm being proactive. I am getting Messi's jersey at halftime.
I'm not leaving anything to chance.
That's right. He changed the jersey at halftime. And then now one of the only players that really does not seem to be playing well in this stretch is Luis Suarez. And we've talked about him before, the pistolero. He had a great golazo in the Club World Cup. But as far as for the MLS team in MLS play, he really has not come close to having the season he had last year, right? I mean, he's just not looking the same.
No, last year he was on that tear that they needed when Messi was banged up and missing a few games here and there. And
he was arguably the MVP last year. He was carrying the team.
Right. You thought there was a moment a few games ago where you thought, is this the ignition right here, where he kind of clicks back and gets it back, but he just really hasn't been able to. So
no, and he's been missing. He misses shots, and you do wonder. And so Javier Mascherano was asked about Luis Suarez. Let's hear what he has to say, because I know a lot of fans have been saying he should not be playing, he should not be starting, he definitely should not be playing 80 minutes. Yeah, let's see what Masha has to say about that.
Una, cómo manejan la situación de Luis Suárez, ¿no? Si bien es cierto, es un referente, todo el mundo lo conoce, pero por momentos, y le pasa en la carrera a un delantero, a veces parece que se le cierra el arco, ¿no? Entonces, si lo hablan a la interna, ha salido Messi a rescatar.
Mira, sería de mi parte una falta de respeto hablarle a alguien que hizo más de 500 goles. Digamos, yo hice 5 en mi carrera, así que imagínate qué le voy a poder enseñar yo a Suárez. Está claro que Luis es un jugador, y no solamente importante en el equipo, sino en el proyecto del club. Como claramente lo es Leo, el que más, como lo es Busquets, como lo es Jordi, como son los chicos jóvenes, y a partir de eso entendemos que, y lo hemos hablado muchas veces, que normalmente el debate sale cuando pasan un par de partidos que no hace goles, pero Luis nos da un montón de otras cosas, y hace 15, 20 días atrás estamos hablando del golazo que le había hecho a Palmeira y lo que había sido capaz. El fútbol es muy dinámico, la realidad es que yo lo he dicho una y mil veces y lo voy a volver a repetir. Mientras los grandes estén bien, yo voy a morir con los grandes. De eso no tengo duda. Y con los jóvenes también, ¿no? Pero esto es digamos, lo veo de esa manera. Sé todo lo que nos dan. Claramente tenemos que ir gestionando minutos. Venimos de un partido donde en Boston jugamos en cancha sintética. Para la situación de Luis era complicado. Lo hubiese querido sacar quizás antes en New England. Como se dio el partido, veíamos que era difícil sacarlo en el momento que nosotros pretendíamos. Y nada, lo iremos gestionando de esa manera. Esa es mi idea, pero sobre su jerarquía, su calidad y lo que representa, no solamente para el equipo, sino para el club, no hay dudas.
Well, for anyone out there who was hoping that Luis Suarez is going to be benched or something, it does not sound that way from what Javier Mascherano just said. He said, look, because he was asked, it looks like we all know that how famous he is. We all know about his history and his incredible career, but it looks like the goal has been closing up on him. That was the question. And how do you manage that situation? And he said, look, it would be disrespectful for me to criticize somebody and discuss in a critical way somebody who has scored 500 goals over his career. He said, I scored 5 in my career. So what am I going to tell? What am I going to say about Luis Suarez? He said, what can I say? He said, look, I know how important he is, not only to this club, but to the whole project. That this club is, centered around Messi and Suarez, Busquets, Alba, and yes, the younger players too, but those 4 are critical to this team, to the club. I know what they all bring. And he said, not too long ago, a few weeks ago, everybody was talking about Luis Suarez's incredible goal that he had against Palmeiras. He won man of the match in that game, by the way. He said, look, soccer changes, things change. But he said, listen, as long as the stars are on this team and doing well, I'm sticking with the stars. And, even though Suarez in most people's minds is not doing well, he said, I'm sticking with the stars. That is my approach. I know what they bring this team, and I am sticking with the stars. Yes, I have to manage their minutes, and we have to play the other players and all that. But he basically made it very clear that those 4 players are kind of untouchable. If they want to play, they're going to play. Let's face it. That's what it sounds like to me. Is that what you read into it?
Yeah, he's going to give them the benefit of the doubt. If they're struggling a little bit, he's going to let them play out of the funk. The only thing that can change is an injury or some sort of health ailment. But if not, he's going to trust their experience. He's going to trust their know-how and their ability to work themselves out of difficult situations, whether it's individually or as a team. And we've seen that from him historically. So far.
And maybe as a former player, not so former player, Mascherano, their coach is 40 years old, 41, whatever. I think he just had his birthday. He's still pretty close to his playing days. And I think his approach maybe is when they talk about a player's coach, I think he's kind of a player's coach. He wasn't playing that long ago. In fact, he still wears his boots to training. So I have a feeling he's out there running around with these guys too.
Yeah.
Still, so I think he's still sort of a colleague. He's kind of a teammate in a way of these players. It's almost like a player coach, I feel like sometimes.
I feel like there's a bit of a not much has to be said moments where, he'll maybe Suarez or Messi tell him something and he's like, he doesn't even have to really answer. It's kind of like they get it, because they've been there, they've been through the battles, they know, and he's still not, like you said, he's not far removed from all that. So he gets it. Like there's no, if anything, maybe he's the intermediary where he has to be the one to tell the higher ups, okay, well, this is okay, this is fine, this is not, blah, 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 kind of the in-between, you know what I mean? But like on the field, he gets it because he was one of them not that long ago, and still feels like one of them. And he's still one of them, one of them, really, even though he's got the coaching hat on now instead of the player hat. So
yeah, exactly.
But let's dive in real quick. Speaking of stars that haven't arrived yet.
Rodrigo de Paul. Yes,
Rodrigo de Paul. Is it happening? It is.
It is happening. It is happening. Mark your calendars. It is definitely happening, according to my very well placed sources. This is definitely happening. It's basically a done deal. It will probably not be announced until, the MLS transfer window opens July 24th. So mark your calendars for closer to that date to when this will become public, but this is definitely happening. Rodrigo de Paul, who is one of Messi's closest friends, they consider him his bodyguard. He's kind of known as his bodyguard on the field. He already has his bodyguard, but he's going to have a second bodyguard now, which is also one of his closest friends from the Argentine national team. The two are side by side all the time on the Argentine national team, just like he is with Suarez on this team. He's now going to have another best buddy on this team and a guy who he can train with for the World Cup next summer. They will be able to train side by side every single day from this summer until next summer to get ready for the World Cup. So this is definitely happening. Also, by the way, Rodrigo de Paul's girlfriend / fiance, whatever it may be, her name is Tini. She's an Argentine pop star singer. She has a home in Miami. Okay. Need I say more?
No. There you go.
Definitely coming. He's definitely coming. Another, like David Beckham with a pop star wife. He's going to have the pop star girlfriend who is from Argentina, who loves Miami, who has a home in Miami. It's happening. It's just a matter of when, not if. Definitely happening.
There you go. That's always the clincher. Do they have a property here? Is the significant other here? Something like that. Then that's the clue right there. Like, yep, this is gonna happen. It'll be there.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is definitely a Miami / Argentina move for sure.
This is a Miami Argentina move going into the World Cup year. It makes absolutely perfect sense. He's going to come in. They're going to work it out financially, whether they, Busquets may have to like work his contract different, or maybe someone's going to retire at the end of this year, whatever. They're going to make this work. It's going to happen, and it's going to happen in the next few weeks. There's no question in my mind on that one.
Yeah. All right, well, let's. What about Messi, and what about what are we?
Yeah, quick. Let's wrap up quickly. Messi, that's also going to happen. There's no way that Rodrigo de Paul is coming and Messi's going to leave. The whole point,
but more timetable, I guess, is the
It's a timetable thing. That again, the question is which one is announced first? Do they announce Messi first? Do they announce Rodrigo de Paul first? Both of them are happening. Both of them are going to be on this team next year. Both of them are going to be playing at the new stadium. And by the way, don't be surprised. I think the target date for Rodrigo de Paul will be to play in this Leagues Cup that's coming up this summer. The Leagues Cup needs a boost. We've talked about it's kind of a wah-wah coming off the Club World Cup. Like, who really cares about the Leagues Cup? For Inter Miami fans and for the league, if Rodrigo de Paul, this top midfielder, famous player, is playing in the Leagues Cup, that gives the tournament a little bit of a boost. Definitely does for Inter Miami. So both of those things are going to happen. It's just a matter of when, not if. Both of those are happening.
And on the injury front, Michelle, anything new? Noah Allen, anybody? Any updates on?
Yeah, Noah Allen was training to the side, but he's still away from coming. Ian Frey has not even been training on the side, at least when we last saw him. But Yannick Bright, Gonzalo Lujan, and David Ruiz all were training with the group at the end of last week, and it is expected that they will return and be available to play probably this week for this Cincinnati-New York Red Bull stretch. Expect to see 1, 2, or all 3 of those available to be on the roster again.
Yeah, if any of those come back, there's a bit of that. That's helpful for that balancing act they want to do, not just with Messi, but with everybody. To kind
and Drake Callender. Drake Callender is also training again.
Interesting.
So he'll be coming back at some point too. Yes.
Good. Yeah, there were some questions.
That's been a long road.
There were some questions with Ustari's shoulder and his health, but he's been playing too over and over, so it's not like he's had to sit out. But again, good to have the depth at goalie for sure.
Yes.
But talking about a little bit of everything, though, let's wrap this up with what a shocker. I mean, like I know I had them penciled in as champion. Chelsea said, "Oh no,
oh no, oh no,
emphatically."
Yeah. PSG has been just rolling over everyone, starting way back, in Europe with the Champions League 5-0 over Inter Milan, and then 4-0 over Atletico, and then 2-0 over Bayern, 4-0 over Inter Miami, 4-0 over Real Madrid. I mean, when I saw that, I'm like, forget it. These guys are winning. Just give them the trophy now. Chelsea had other ideas. They dominated from the start. And then, you could tell how upset and humiliated PSG was at the end of the game. There was a big brawl. Luis Enrique, the coach, even got into it and was fighting with players, and it was a very heated ending to the Club World Cup. Very heated ending.
Yeah.
But if you want to see my takes on the Club World Cup, everything, the highs, the lows, what went well, what didn't, I wrote a column that you guys can read at miamiherald.com. Basically, there was a lot of heavy criticism, especially from Europe and the UK coming into this tournament and during the tournament and even after the tournament, like, oh, this was dumb. This was a waste of time. It's just a money grab. Nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to go. Well, a lot of that was unfounded, to be honest. Yes, it was an imperfect tournament. There are things that need to be improved, but 2.5 million people came and bought tickets to this tournament. And, the average attendance was 39,000, which is really, really good. And there were, I believe, 20 games over 60,000 and, 5 or 6 games over 70,000 fans. 6 games at Hard Rock Stadium had over 60,000 fans. So, yes, people did care. And yes, people did buy tickets. And maybe the European fans did not come over in droves, but for teams in South America and in Africa and in Asia and in the United States, this was a chance to prove themselves against the best of the world. And it was interesting. It was a good tournament. There were a lot of good games. There were a lot of great atmospheres with different fan groups from all over the world, and from the diaspora fans in the United States is what really showed up. It showed that there are a lot of soccer fans in the United States who are diehard fans of all of these teams. And I think that was pretty cool to see, to be honest. I did not like, I'll just end on this. I do not like all the changes they made, like the countdown to the kickoff. That was dumb. I didn't like it. The halftime shows are unnecessary. There's no need for all the bells and whistles. We don't need that. In soccer, the soccer is the show. The soccer is the show. I think they should keep some of the keep the traditional things in soccer, which is what makes it different from American sports. There's no need to Americanize that and make it a big glitzy show. Just let the soccer be the show. The soccer was good enough.
I think FIFA does that, though. I don't know if it's just an American, just because it was here. I've seen that in the World Cup. They do all the glitz and stuff. They turn everything into the Super Bowl, and I mean, but your point is valid. I'm just saying, like, I don't think it's just here. It was just. I think they're just adding layers to it now on top of what they've already tried to sensationalize it as it is, because you see some of that already.
I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm
like, I think the competition. We don't need. Yeah.
Yeah, it
we don't need a boxing announcer. We don't need a boxing announcer telling us who the teams are that are about to play when there are 70,000 people, 80,000 actually. 80,000 people were at MetLife Stadium wearing the shirts of the teams that are about to play. They don't need an announcer telling us which 2 teams are about to play. That's silly. Right. That you don't go out in the middle of the Super Bowl and say, here are the Kansas City Chiefs. This is a really good team from Kansas City. That was just stupid, honestly.
But it reminds me of the NFL now. They have all these games on certain days, like on Black Friday now. And it's not just Thanksgiving. It's like Black Friday. It's on Christmas. It's on this day. It's on that day. And then it's like, let's have country music superstar at halftime. We'll do this and that. And it's like, come on.
Too much. Okay, I don't like it. I'm a traditionalist.
Stroll the kids out with the players. I love that. That's cute. It lets the kids go out there.
I hated that one-on-one introductions. All the players. It's not an individual sport. It's not a boxing match. It's a soccer match, and they should come out with the little kids. That is something traditional of soccer. And
it's great for the kids.
Everyone looks, and I love it, and the kids love it.
That's amazing. Forget all that other stuff. I'm thinking what that little kid must be thinking, holding Messi's hand, walking out like that. I'm like, that's a thrill for that little guy. He's going to remember that forever, or that little girl, whichever. Yeah. Whatever kid is there, that's a memory they're never going to forget. Even if it's not Messi, even if it's like whoever, even if it's the backup goalie,
doesn't
you're
matter.
Getting a chance to go on the field. I know I'd be thrilled if I was that age again and doing that. So that's fine. But then all the other stuff and getting all crazy. But it'll be interesting. Looking forward to that Chelsea PSG rematch down the road, wherever it ends up happening. Maybe Champions League. Who knows? But that's going to be spicy. It's going to be spicy if it happens soon, and all those players are still there, or most of them anyway. That'd be interesting. But we'll be back next week. I think we'll be back next week to talk a little bit about how Miami's doing at this point. They've got, as we know, two more two more big games this week. The first one against Cincinnati on the road. The next trip up to the site of the Club World Cup finale up in to play the Red Bulls, and then they come home. Big one, the rematch again against Cincinnati. A lot of valuable points to be had, and can this team keep climbing the ladder? Can they keep ascending the table and get back into the mix there? We'll have it for you, and remember to follow Michelle's work, not just the column, but she's going to have a preview of this next game, this crucial matchup against Cincinnati, and then I'll be covering a couple of them in the next couple of weeks as well. So we'll have all that for you. Thanks for watching Inside Inter Miami. Remember to catch us on YouTube, and until next time, we'll see you on Inside Inter Miami. Everybody, enjoy the games.